Have you ever sat at your kitchen table with a cup of tea, staring out the window and realizing you haven't had a real conversation in days? Not a polite nod at the grocery store. Not a short text from your daughter. I mean a real, warm, soul-nourishing talk. The kind that leaves you smiling without even realizing it. If that hits close to home, I want you to know, you're not alone. Loneliness after 65 is more common than people talk about. Your kids are grown, careers are behind you, friends may have moved or passed on, and suddenly the pace of life quiets down. Too much. Sometimes it feels like the world keeps moving without checking if you're still watching. But here's something most people don't realize. You don't have to just get used to it. There are real, honest, and even joyful ways to reconnect with people. Meaningful connection doesn't disappear with age. In fact, this phase of life can be one of the richest times for building deep, fulfilling relationships. Ones that suit who you are now, not just who you were before. So today, we're going to talk about 4 surprising ways to build those connections again. Not fake friendships, not forced socializing, but real, meaningful bonds that bring color back into your days. And we're going to keep it simple, doable, and focused on you. Because this isn't about trying to fit into someone else's life. It's about expanding your own. Let's begin with something a little unexpected. Starting with strangers. You might be thinking, what? I'm trying to make real friends, not chat with cashiers. But here's the truth. Sometimes the door to connections starts with just saying hello. There's power in small interactions, especially when they happen often. A smile and a warm word to your local pharmacist. A quick compliment to the woman who walks her dog past your house every morning. These aren't pointless. They're bricks in a bridge. Psychologists call this weak tie connection. They've found that regular, small interactions with acquaintances boost mood, lower feelings of isolation, and actually lead to deeper connections over time. When you show up in your community, just a little bit, and just as you are, you become part of its rhythm. You stop feeling invisible. And over time, you'll be surprised how often those brief exchanges open into something longer, richer, and truly personal. One woman I know began nodding to a man who always sat on the same park bench. For weeks, they never spoke. One day, she offered him a thermos of coffee. They now walk together every Tuesday. It started with a nod. The second thing? Reclaim your hobbies, but not in solitude. Maybe you've always loved painting, or writing, or gardening. Maybe you used to play the piano or fix clocks. These aren't just hobbies. They're keys. And when you use them to meet others, they become doors to connection. Try looking for local groups. Book clubs, garden circles, watercolor classes, even online communities for people your age with similar passions. Yes, online. Don't tune out just because it's digital. Today's technology isn't just for kids. There are thousands of seniors online every day connecting around their interests, whether it's classic films, puzzles, genealogy, or birdwatching. Many of them are just as cautious and thoughtful as you, which makes it easier to feel safe and respected. You don't have to be good at the hobby, you just have to enjoy it. One man I spoke to had barely touched his harmonica in years. Then he found a virtual blues circle that meets every Friday. Now he laughs more than he plays. And that's exactly the point. The sound of laughter, yours and someone else's, is one of the quickest cures for that dull ache loneliness leaves behind. Sometimes we think connection has to come from deep conversation or old friendships, but connection can also come from shared rhythm, from doing something with someone else. Even if it's just sitting side by side, hands covered in soil, planting tulip bulbs together. Now, before we continue, I want to say this. If you've been feeling lonely for a long time, it's okay if the idea of reaching out feels heavy. You might be worried you'll be rejected, or that it's too late to make new friends. Or maybe you just feel tired of trying. Please hear me. You are not too late. You are not invisible. You haven't missed your moment. And the weight you feel now? It's not a sign to give up. It's a sign that your heart still wants connection, that you still believe in warmth, in closeness, in being seen. That matters. That means something. And when you take just one step, even a small one, you change your momentum. We've talked about those first two steps, noticing the strangers already around you, and using your hobbies as a way to meet people who speak your language. These aren't just ideas, they're invitations. And you can answer them whenever you're ready. You don't need to become someone new. You just need to be more you, with others in the room to see it. Now, let's keep going. One of the most powerful truths I've come to realize is that loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. It often means feeling unseen, feeling like no one quite understands who you are now. This version of you, with your full life behind you and a quieter stretch ahead. That's why this third way to build real connection might just surprise you. Start telling your story. Your story isn't over, far from it. But everything you've lived through so far, all the lessons and moments and missteps, that's gold. And when you begin to share those parts of yourself, even in small ways, you give people a way in, a place to meet you. You don't need a stage. You don't need to write a book unless you want to. Just try this. The next time you're chatting with someone, maybe that friendly neighbor or the man from the library, slip in a piece of your past. This reminds me of when I moved across the country at 22. Or, my husband and I used to dance to this song in our kitchen. Simple, true, human. People connect through stories, not facts. When you share from your life, you give others permission to do the same. And that back and forth, that exchange of experience and emotion, it's one of the fastest ways to go from surface to substance in a relationship. One woman I met told me she joined a local memoir writing circle, not because she wanted to be a writer, but because she missed being truly heard. And now? She's got 6 new friends and a standing tea date on Thursdays. Sometimes, the person who needs to hear your story most is you. And sometimes, saying it out loud lets others say, "Me too." But what if you don't feel like talking much? What if words aren't your way in? That leads us to the fourth, and maybe most overlooked, path to connection: caring for something together. There's something healing about shared responsibility, whether it's volunteering at an animal shelter, helping at a community garden, or joining a group that puts together care packages. Doing something that matters with someone else creates a quiet bond. No forced conversation, no awkward introductions, just meaningful effort, side by side. When we work toward a common goal, especially one that helps others, connection grows naturally. There's no pressure to perform socially, you're just showing up. And that's where some of the most genuine friendships begin. One couple I know joined a group that knits blankets for cancer patients. Neither of them had knitted a stitch before, but they showed up anyway. Within weeks, they had a group of new friends who not only taught them the ropes, but also became part of their weekly routine. People they check in with, laugh with, and lean on when days get heavy. When you feel lonely, it's easy to shrink, to pull back and assume no one needs you. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You have gifts, wisdom, patience, kindness. The world still needs those things, and when you offer them, even quietly, people gather around that light. Maybe you're not ready to step into a new group just yet. Maybe you don't feel quite strong enough, or you're unsure where to begin. That's okay. Start smaller. Water a neighbor's plants while they're away. Offer a kind word to the young parent at the bus stop. Check in on someone who might be feeling just as lonely as you do. Connection doesn't have to come from people exactly like you. Sometimes the most surprising and fulfilling bonds are the ones that cross generations. Grandchildren, yes, but also young adults, middle-aged friends, even teenagers. They're often looking for someone steady, someone who listens without judgment. And guess what? That could be you. There's a quiet superpower in this stage of life. You're no longer hustling to prove yourself. You don't need to impress anyone. You get to offer your time, your presence, your story, Not because you have to, but because it feels good to give. And when you lead with that energy, the right people come closer. Remember, relationships aren't only about being needed. They're about being known. And there's still so much of you worth knowing. So if you've been feeling that ache of isolation, like the walls are a little too quiet, or the days stretch too long without warmth, take a breath. You are not forgotten. You are not alone in this. And the steps you take to reach out, no matter how small, are steps back into the world. It may take time, it may feel awkward at first, but connection isn't about perfection. It's about presence. And you, just as you are today, are enough. Sometimes we think connection has to be dramatic, that it needs to come with fireworks, deep heart-to-hearts, or someone instantly getting us. But often, the most meaningful connections unfold slowly, like a soft hand finding yours in the dark, like two lives beginning to hum in harmony, even if they've walked alone for a while. And here's something many people don't realize until later in life. You don't need a crowd to feel connected. One or two deep, genuine relationships can fill you up more than a dozen shallow ones ever could. That's why, in this chapter of your life, it's not about chasing popularity or pleasing everyone. It's about genuine resonance. And that's a beautiful thing. Maybe right now you're wondering, where do I even begin? You've tried calling a friend who never called back. You joined a club once, but it didn't feel right. You've smiled at people and gotten nothing in return, and slowly your hope started to dim. That's real. That's painful. But I want you to know, one cold encounter doesn't predict the next. Reaching out is hard, especially when your heart's been bruised by disappointment. But healing happens through practice. Connection, just like movement, grows stronger the more you show up. One of the best places to begin, oddly enough, is within your own neighborhood. You don't need to go far. Just step outside, sit on your front porch, walk the block. Spend 5 minutes in your front yard every day, even if it's just to breathe fresh air or say hello to a passerby. Neighborhoods used to be the heart of connection, and with a little intention, they still can be. There's a woman I know, 74, who put a little sign on her fence that said, "Free coffee? Just ask." She figured no one would. But one afternoon, a young teacher stopped by. They sat under the tree and talked for an hour. Now she gets visits every week, people craving company as much as she was. Her porch became a tiny sanctuary for connection because she offered something simple: herself. If putting yourself out there feels too vulnerable, start with service. Connection through kindness often feels less risky. You're not saying, "Please be my friend." You're saying, "Here's something I can do." And in that space, beautiful things unfold. Write a note to someone you admire. Offer to walk a neighbor's dog if they're unwell. Bake cookies for the local librarian. Simple gestures ripple outwards. And those ripples? They're how loneliness starts to fade. Another powerful, but often overlooked, tool in building connection is curiosity. Sometimes we wait for others to ask about us. But when you show a real, sincere interest in someone else's life, you invite a level of trust and warmth that can't be forced. Ask that woman in yoga class how her garden is doing. Ask your niece about her dreams, not just her job. Ask the man at the community center what he's proud of. People open up when they feel seen. And when they do, they start to see you back. So often, seniors are told to accept loneliness as a fact of aging. But I want to be clear, that's a lie. That's an outdated, harmful belief that robs people of joy. You are not here just to wait. You are still becoming, still shaping your days. And connection is still yours to create. It won't look like it did in your 20s or even your 50s. But that's okay. It doesn't need to. There's a richness in this season of life, a calm depth, a slower rhythm that makes every connection more meaningful. You're not chasing status or attention. You're chasing presence, realness, reciprocity. You're ready to share not just your time, but your truth. And if, as you listen, you feel something stirring, something saying, maybe I could try, then that's your beginning. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more ready, but now. Today. Start small. Smile first. Stay an extra moment in the conversation. Show up somewhere new without needing to be perfect. Let someone see you, not just the polished parts, but the whole story. The weary heart, the curious mind, the part of you that still hopes. Because hope, when paired with courage, leads to connection. And you right now have both. You don't need to be anyone other than who you are. And the world still needs the version of you that laughs too loudly, cries at old movies, shares too many stories, and holds space for others. Connection is possible. It starts with a name, a glance, a question, a quiet act of kindness. And from there, anything can grow. If this video resonated with you, if it gave you even a sliver of hope or a push to try something new, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your story, or just say hello. You never know who might read it and feel a little less alone. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video. It helps more people find it. And hit subscribe so you don't miss more ways to make this chapter of life full, rich, and deeply connected. You deserve connection. You deserve joy, and you deserve to be seen. Here's to building new bridges and crossing them with courage. Here's to living your best life at any age.